A very good day to you, and good to have you join us for the Reporters Roundtable, where we tackle issues from all angles and from all sides. Today we are looking at the effects of the Cedi depreciation and high taxes on businesses. And we know that traders and business owners in Ghana continue to complain about the negative impact of high taxes and unrestrained fall of the Ghana cedi on their operations. According to the Bank of Ghana, as of the end of September 2022, the Ghana cedi had depreciated by 37.5% to the US dollar. In the midst of that, the Ghana Revenue Authority has begun positioning their officers at shops to record value-added tax VAT on products they sell. These, the traders say, are militating against their businesses. Broadly, the Reporters Roundtable will look at the harsh impact of economic crisis on Ghanaian businesses. I am Rebekah Awuah, and with me in the studio to do this is Professor Eliklim Kobla Agloyo. I hope I mentioned it right. Yes. He is an associate professor of the Department of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, and also the chairman of Research Committee of Tessa Capital, a fund management firm here in Accra, Ghana. Also with him is Mr. Joseph Paddy. Mr. Joseph Paddy is the Director of Communications of the Ghana Union of Traders Association Ghana, and Guta, I know you know about that one. Thank you so much for coming.
Good morning.
Hello. Good to have you both. And this is a blend of communication and the experts' view on the roundtable today. Let's look at what exactly is accounting for the depreciation of the cedi.
So good morning to your listeners and good
My
morning
viewers.
to my fellow analysts. Okay, so there are a number of factors accounting for the depreciation of the cedi. So first of all, the Federal Reserve in the US, which is the central bank of the US, they've been raising their interest rates to fight inflation. And because they are raising their interest rates, investors find it attractive to move their funds from emerging markets, developing countries back to the US. Okay, so for example, they are selling their bonds in Ghana. And when they are going back, they don't need cedis, they need dollars. Okay, so that puts some pressure on the exchange rate. Also, the Bank of Ghana doesn't have a lot of reserves, okay, to meet the demand for dollars in the economy. And consequently, we have a dollar shortage. And because of that shortage and the excess demand for dollars, the price of the dollar is going up because those who really need it will bid up the price. And that has led to also an increase in the price of the dollar. Again, another big factor is that we have lost access to international capital markets. And what I mean by that is that the government is no longer able to borrow by raising euro bonds in the capital markets. And this is also because of the downgrading of Ghana by rating agencies like Fitch, Standard & Poor's, Moody's, etc. So in essence, what they are telling the investing public or investors globally is that Ghana's debt is not very good. Indeed, we are getting close to to default. Okay, so because of that, we are no longer able to issue additional euro bonds, which would have brought in dollars into the economy. Okay, and that is why the IMF program now is very critical, because if we are able to obtain the loans from the IMF, the country will be able to get about $3 billion, which will show up our dollar reserves in the economy. So broadly, these are the main factors that are accounting for the depreciation of the cedi.
Okay, let me remain a little while longer on you.
Sure.
We know for a fact that as a country, we have witnessed the depreciation of the cedi with even the causative factors that you have given. We have witnessed the depreciation of the cedi within manageable ranges, if I should say, or rates. But however, this time around, it is very steep. and very fast. Would you say is these same factors that are accounting for it, or there are some more?
So it's still these factors, but the economy is not resilient to external shocks. Okay, and I think that is what has magnified the effects we are seeing now. Okay, so one, we are borrowing a lot in foreign currency, And that leads to the problem called original sin. Because once you are borrowing foreign currency, if you don't have the dollars to pay, you're in trouble. And we are struggling to even find the money to pay our debts. Okay, so the economy doesn't have resilience to external shocks. So one, we have borrowed too much in external currencies like the dollar, and we are struggling to pay. Two, we don't have sufficient reserves at the Bank of Ghana. And these are the main problems that are accounting for the massive and accelerating depreciation. So for example, if you take a country like India, a country like Brazil, okay, their currency hasn't depreciated as much, and even other African countries, okay, their currencies haven't depreciated as much. It's because, for example, India currently has over $500 billion in exchange rate reserves. Okay, Brazil has about $300 billion in exchange rate reserves. Okay, we don't have that much, and that we have about, I think, maximum is about 10 billion. It's even come down. Okay, so we don't have a lot of external reserves, and that is one of the causative factors of the accelerating depreciation. Also, we haven't learned from, let me say, other countries. Okay, Brazil, India, they learned from their financial crisis in the 1980s and the 1990s. Okay, so in the 1980s, the Latin American countries had what we call the tequila crisis, where they couldn't pay their external debt, and we are experiencing something similar now. In the 1990s, the Asian countries also experienced financial crisis. And some of the key lessons they learned from these crises is that you don't want to borrow too much in external currencies like the dollar. That increases your exposure. Again, you want to have sufficient exchange rate reserves. Okay, if we had a lot of reserves, even when these problems arose, the central bank will have enough dollars to release into the economy to reduce the pressure on the city, but we don't have the reserves. So that's another lesson we haven't learned from some of these countries. Again, policy credibility is important. And we are even seeing that in the UK now, where the chancellor has had to either resign or be sacked.
He has been sacked?
He's been sacked, yeah. More or less. Okay, yeah. So policy credibility is important. If we don't have policies that investors believe are credible, then investors will punish us. And we are seeing that now. If you look at the yields on our Euro bonds, it's in excess of 30%. And that's really serious.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with this, how does it impact on businesses? And let me bring in my communicator friend here, because you are in the marketplace, you deal with traders, and with the picture that has been painted, how is it affecting businesses?
Yeah, once again, let me say good morning to your viewers and listeners, and to the members of GUTA, as they are bleeding. As we are talking now, their businesses are bleeding, and the business has become so pale, so much so that if you're not careful, we'll find ourselves in an intensive care unit, where some businesses are going to die off, and other are on collapse beds. So anyway, but you're looking good this morning. You're looking sharp.
Thank you.
I don't think you feel the effect in the market. You see, I appreciate where my professor is coming from.
Okay.
He's spoken about the external factors. What internally are we doing right or we are doing wrong? You know, we started complaining about these issues long ago. One of the factors we identified was as a result where we have given our economy into the hands of foreigners. Because look at the major players in the economy. They are all in the hands of foreigners. Look at our telecos, in the hands of foreigners. Look at our banks, in the hands of foreigners. The extractive industry, even the galamsey are in the hands of foreigners. Now trading is in the hands of foreigners. So when we talk of capital flight, what happens? They put pressure on our foreign exchange. These are the issues the trading community has been complaining about, that the rate at which we have liberalized our economy and given it to the hands of foreigners. In the near future, we're going to have a challenge. Now the foreigners are repatriating their profit, and even some of them are going away with their capital. What happens? That's the consequence we are facing now. That is why in the era where GUTA stood up against the activities of foreigners, where they are not supposed to be there, we're saying we are not friendly to the business community. Because the GRPC laws state categorically that whoever foreign you are coming into the country to come and do business, you must do ABC. But we've let it go. I remember recently, I was telling, we met Bank of Ghana, and then we said that Nigeria has done it before. They cap between their reference rate and their interest rate. They cap it that the commercial banks can't go beyond this rate. They said, we are running a liberal economy. So they can do what they repatriate their profit. Well, and we made a proposal. Every business, any foreign who come to do business in the country, there must be some retention of your profit into the system so that it will help boost your company or business so that you employ more Ghanaians as a result of our brothers who are coming from Legon and Tech or what have you. But we have liberalized our economy so much so that the foreigners are taking charge of the economy. But even America, the superpower, even has some restrictions when it comes to the economy. They come with a policy, non-tariff policy, they give you quota. So why do we liberalize our economy so much so that we are giving it freely into the hands of foreigners? These are where we find ourselves. And today, Ghanaian businesses are suffering. Who can borrow at this current dispensation at the rate of 41% interest rate and survive in business? Because the policy rate is about 24%. When businesses are complaining that borrowing interest rate is extremely expensive, now Bank of Ghana keep on increasing from 14.5, now it's moved to 18, to 19, to 21, to 22, now just last week or last 2 weeks, 24. So which business? So when we advise our members that where we sit now, nobody should go to the bank to borrow if you don't have the need for it, because you're going to go out of business. Because you can't even break even before even pay your overhead costs. So it's a difficult challenge we find ourselves at this point. And we keep on asking the questions, but we're not getting the results to those questions. You know, the professor spoke, like I said, he spoke about the external factors. So internally, what are we doing to curb this situation we find ourselves?
It's indicated that we don't have enough reserves. And we also do not have the resilience to against the shocks that are coming in.
But what causes those shocks? Let's talk about the external factors. The local man will say, you fear them, do fear them. Internally, there must be something. So at the end of it all, now, because as a result of giving our economy to the hands of foreigners, that's where we find ourselves now. Now the foreigners are repatriating their funds, their bonds and whatever, they are giving it out there. They are taking it because they think we have been downgraded. Therefore, they started to write home about, let's leave the country. What happens? That's why we made a proposal. Let's deliberately empower the Ghanaian economically. And everywhere I go, I say this.
How do we do that?
Yes, it's a deliberate policy. It must be a deliberate policy that government must come up with. How can we do it? Because some countries have done it. Those countries around us, why are they not suffering the same fate that we find ourselves? Because if you go to Nigeria right now, there's something they call prohibition list. Okay. And they are telling you that as for this commodity line, nobody should bring it to the country. Prohibition list. Meanwhile, the World Trade Organization, liberal economy. But every country has some prohibition.
Don't we have that in our books, in our law books?
That is why one of the factors I'm going to talk about, we have institutional failures. They have failed us big time. Somebody comes in the name of manufacturing. Before you could say, Jack, he's doing trading at Okanshi. You have given the person document. You have given the person license to go into manufacturing, to go and come and produce slippers. Now you see the same person doing trading in Okanshi. Who has failed? Who monitors the activities of the people you have given the license to? That's the same way we find ourselves in Galam saying. That's the challenge we find ourselves. You give people license, who monitors the activities? Who evaluates their work? So they just go in the name of, even the person says, I'm coming to invest $3 million. How do you monitor that activity of that $3 million? Did it come with fiscal cash? Some of them even don't come with any cash. Some of them even inflate their invoices because they want to repatriate their money. He will tell you, I come with $3 million, but it's not in cash form. So we made a proposal, if you're a businessman or an investor, put the money in Bank of Ghana. So if you're going to buy, they give you the money because you bring the goods, raw goods, come and say, and take our hard currency away.
And that is having a telling effect.
Exactly.
Let me come back to Ellie. With what he's saying, what are the telling effects, even as side businesses on the ordinary Ghanaian? Let's say I am a buyer. I get into the market space going to buy. Aside these impacts on businesses, how about the ordinary Ghanaian? How are they affected?
Okay, thank you for the question. So before I answer, maybe a few reactions to what he said.
Right.
So I do agree that the Ghanaian needs to be empowered, but it's a liberal economy, like he said, and liberal economies have been shown to work compared to a command or controlled economy. We don't want to go back to the 1970s, 1980s. It also had its own challenges, so we don't want to go back to a command economy. But we should empower the Ghanaian where they are well educated. We maybe Ministry of Finance and maybe the Ghana Enterprises Agency can organize training programs for businesses. The government can also facilitate finance, probably not through its own funds, by encouraging businesses to be able to access funding from venture capital firms, etc. Because the cost of borrowing now is too high from the banks. Okay, so yes, we need to empower Ghanaians. We need to put in place policies that make it easier for them to access capital at a reasonable cost. If they go in for venture capital funds, it's not debt, so they don't need to pay interest periodically. It's usually equity finance. And equity finance is known as patient capital. Okay, so they should be looking at things like venture capital finance, and maybe also taking money from family and friends so they don't have to pay back. It's a way of funding enterprises because your family and friends believe in you. Okay, so that's also another way of funding their enterprises. But also in terms of trading in the markets, I think we need to be a little bit cautious, especially in the era of the African continental free trade area, okay, where we are promoting trade across the African continent. Due to that is in Section 27 in the GIPC law is mute, it's no longer applicable. Okay, so what I'll say to GUTA members is that yes, maybe foreigners are coming into our markets, but Africa is a huge space. We can go to Nigeria, which is a huge market. We can go to South Africa, Kenya. Africa is there for the taking. Okay, so they shouldn't focus too much on Ghana because of the free trade area. A lot of the restrictions, the government cannot keep them. The restrictions will have to go. Okay, so GUTA needs to position itself in such a way that it can compete in the African market and even compete globally. Okay, so that's my few reactions.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you would have.
Well, wait, yes, I know he has some interjections to make, but let's look at the person on the ordinary Ghanaian now with the current situation that we are faced with.
Okay, so there are multiple effects. So, for example, on businesses, one, their capital is eroding. So, if your capital was 1 million cedis, maybe if some time back in dollar terms it will be more, but now your capital has eroded. So one of the effects of the depreciation of the cedi is that they are experiencing erosion in their capital. Their cost of inputs are going up. Okay, so especially because the economy is import driven. So if you are going to import goods from China or the US or Europe or the UK, etc., you need hard currency, and the price of that currency has gone up. And that is also feeding into the inflation we are experiencing now in the economy. So reduction in their capital, increase in cost of inputs, increase in cost of borrowing, okay, because they had to borrow from the banks. And as the policy rate is going up to tackle inflation, the cost of borrowing is also going up. But I won't fault the Bank of Ghana too much.
Why so?
I won't fault them too much. That is the best tool they can use now in the circumstances to tackle inflation. Other than that, if we don't tackle inflation now, it could lead to what we call runaway inflation or hyperinflation. And when that happens, people can get onto the streets. It can lead to political upheaval. Okay, so yes, there are short-term pays in terms of the increase in the interest rates, but that is one of the things the Bank of Ghana can do. Other than that, we are going to experience even bigger consequences along the line.
Do you agree with him? Or you think otherwise?
You see, yes. I agree to. Go ahead.
Please
okay, so
conclude.
The inflation we're experiencing now is cost push, or is coming from supply side shortages. But the Bank of Ghana is increasing the policy rate, okay, to slow down the economy a little. So they are putting brakes on the economy. They want to slow down the economy a bit for the supply side to catch up with demand. Okay, so that's what they are doing, and I think that is well thought through. Hopefully, we'll begin to see the effects soon. Monetary policy has what we call a lag. If you increase the policy rate now, you don't see the effect immediately. It takes time for the effect to show. And indeed, we are seeing that the rate of increase in inflation is slowing down. Okay, so it means that to a certain extent, the policies are working, and hopefully inflation will begin to come down soon, and then they can afford to to bring down the policy rate.
Okay, so you hang in there a bit. I'll come back to you. Aside the measures that the Bank of Ghana is putting in place to resist the shocks, we also want to find out some long-term solutions to arresting this depreciation Cedi. So you hang in there a bit. I'll come back, but let me get a reaction from Mr. Paddy.
Yes. I think he said it all. You know, going to venture capital, mass log, to go for facility. Even the banks, the commercial banks are saying they are putting hold on giving monies out because they know we can't pay. You can't go and borrow at the rate of 41%. They know, the banks know. Commercial banks are not giving out money. Go to the Tema Port right now and see. Things that are need to be imported for Christmas are not in. People are not importing because as it's now, the dollar is about 12.3 or 12.6. So I traveled recently, just March. When I was going, the dollar was, I got it 6.2. So $10,000 was giving me 62,000. Now the same $10,000 is giving me 120,000. So do you think the goods that I brought, I can make a profit of 62,000? Which I will have to go and look for money somewhere to come and top up. So I've lost almost about half. Yes, so it's a huge loss to the business community, which is now business are not friendly at all. Business environment is not friendly. I appreciate where my brother is coming. We know about after and all that. But once upon a time, I was a team of people that were sent to Nigeria by the president when they closed the border. After was in place. And when we went, you know what they told us? They said there's an activity at the Benin border that is hurting the economy. But we are ECOWAS state. You don't have to close your border to us. We went and begged them. They said, no. Once we've not cured that mischief, we are not going to open the border. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Everybody's playing liberal economy, but there's a form of protectionism somewhere along the line to protect your economy. And now
that is what you are calling for.
Yeah, now they are priding themselves that, oh, we are self-sufficient when it comes to rice. Because that was one of the areas that they were suffering. And they believe people were smuggling rice through those borders. And they even told us they bought vehicles and they gave money to the Benin government to cure that mischief. But they were not doing. That's why they closed the border. And when they closed the border for a year or two, they've achieved a result. So these are some of the things we're asking for. Why? No, we are running a liberal economy, but there must be a foreign. Even America has something they call restrictions. They will give you custom laws. They will put it in there. You know, we are playing a liberal economy, but there's a custom law that is a quota. You see, every country does it. So we cannot also sit down and raise our hand in the air that, oh, that's what we are Father Christian, let it go. No, that's what we are asking. So where we have an advantage, a competitive advantage, because now the after is not even helping us. You know why?
No.
Why? If you are producing, you are asking us for production. The person is going to the bank to borrow at the rate of 45% or 41%. His competitor, who is also producing the same commodity line, is going to borrow at a rate of 3% or 15%. Can it be competitive? So when it comes to production, we are even in trouble. Because we are not competitive. That is why even manufacturers are struggling. People don't want to go into manufacturing. Why? Cost of borrow. Because if I'm going to borrow, I need a raw material of $1 million. I have to go to the bank. And if the bank even gives it to me at the rate of even 25%, my competitor who is producing the same pen in maybe Morocco or Nigeria or Togo is borrowing at the rate of 15%. Right away, we are not competitive. It means the cost of utilities also is expensive in this country. So we are not competitive when it comes to manufacturing. So somebody will go and buy the same product. Somebody is producing this pen
Is it because of the cost of production?
Cost of production, cost of doing business in the country is extremely high. Go to our port. Our port, the cost of doing business at the port is extremely high. Now we are losing business to our neighboring countries like Togo. These are some of the. It's a practical issue. We appreciate the theories and the books, but let's talk about the practicals. You see, cost of doing business at our port is extremely expensive compared to our neighboring. We've done that research. Good to have done it. We are the highest when it comes to cost of doing business at the ports.
And after that research, did you come to a conclusion as to how this whole thing can be brought to the bearers?
Yeah, we came up with some proposals.
Okay.
Yes, that government should talk, because even when we did the research on the shipping lines, their service charges are the most expensive in the neighboring countries. The shipping lines alone. We came up with a proposal that government, for the purpose of duty purposes, why can't you peg the dollar at a certain rate? So that whether the dollar goes to 12 point something, for duty pay, when you're going to clear your goods, you can clear it at the rate of 10.1. for quarterly. So you know the next 3 months, whatever, because what happens is that every Tuesday, they change the rate for calculating duties at the port. So I can go and clear this same item for 12,000. The following week I'll go and it's about 13,000 because the rate has changed. So we're saying for duty purpose, why can't you peg it quarterly for 3 months? So that when the same product, the same quantity, the same container, I clear the same goods at the same, so that price of goods and services will be cheaper in the market. That's why every time, every day, you see price of service and goods and services going up at the market. So we made all these proposals. So that to free, our interest is not only in maximizing profit, we're also thinking about the consumer, the public. Well, because I don't remember the last time your salary was increased. Maybe yesterday, you can tell me, Rebekah. You see, so as much as we are crying, we are also consumers anyway.
Yeah.
I am into the spare parts industry and I'm into the car industry, but I buy milk, I buy Pepsodent. So as much as I'm a business owner, I also consume. So we also fighting for the consumers because their purchasing power is nothing to write home about. But what is the point? You import the goods in the country, you send it to the bonded warehouse, you are paying for the bonded warehouse too, and they are not buying, your debtors are on your head, you know. So Rebekah, as it stands to that, I said earlier on, if we are not careful, our businessmen and women who are going to borrow, I was telling somebody came to me to borrow $10,000 to do something, and at that time it was 6.2. Now he has not paid me yet.
So you're thinking of increasing the? No,
he's paying me $1. He has to give me $1. Yes. So at this time he's going to get 120,000 to give me the $1. Just imagine. So it's like he said, family and friends. I have to consider that, and otherwise that person is going to run out of business.
That's right.
Because the product he brought, he cannot sell and make a profit of 62,000. It's not possible. So these are the difficult. So I'm telling you, the agitation in the marketplace is extremely high, and the agitation has led to anger. People are angry. Now we, the leaders, we can't get to our office, so we can't go to that. You hear what will come at the shortest possible time.
I'll come to that. We are still on the Reporters Roundtable, and we are looking at the telling effects of the Cedi depreciation and high taxes on our Ghanaian businesses, and we are here doing all the analysis and the permutations, if I will call it. You can also join in via text and WhatsApp on 0244475 0244 745152 0244 745152. You can see the number, it's displayed on your screen, and you can send a text or a WhatsApp on that number. We are also on air and online. You can also visit our Facebook platform at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation Facebook page. We're streaming live. You can send in your comments and your suggestions, your contributions, and we'll be glad to have them right here on set. Ellie, more agitations in the pipeline from what the Guta Communications Director is telling us. But let's look at the long-term solution to this depreciation of our Ghana cedi and how we can cushion businesses a bit.
Okay, sure. So a number of them. The first one is that we need to change the structure of the economy. Okay, we depend too much on imports. A lot of things are imported, chicken, rice, a lot of things are imported. We can actually produce them here. Okay, what the government needs to do is I wouldn't call for subsidies and cash transfers to businesses. However, the government can put in place, like he said, a friendly business environment, train them, and let them know how to go about their businesses so that they can compete internationally. If we're able to do that, we can even have surplus to export, and that will show up our exchange rate reserves. We should also look at taking advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area. That's something that is going to be very important going forward. Actually, a lot of foreign businesses are looking at the free trade area, and I've had calls from foreign investors who want to invest in Ghana and use it as a launchpad to access the African market. Okay, so our local businesses will also be looking at taking advantage of the free trade area. It can help us to earn a lot of foreign currency. Also, like I mentioned, the government has to put in place some policies to ensure macroeconomic stability, stable inflation, stable exchange rates, stable interest rates. To do that, we need to shore up our exchange rate reserves. We probably need to reduce our dependency on foreign borrowing. That's one of the major factors that has led us to where we are now. Also, we want to be able to have sufficient resources for the businesses to be able to do their business. So like I mentioned earlier, if they can access venture capital funding, maybe even funding from international organizations in the forms of some grants, especially because we are now being faced with what we call climate change, which is leading to food insecurity. So there are funding that they can access to increase their output, especially to tackle climate change. If they position themselves, okay, so we are trying to tackle climate change, we are trying to tackle food insecurity in the country, they may be able to access foreign funding to invest in their businesses. So these are some of the things that the government can do to reduce.
I guess Mr. Paddy agrees to what you are saying.
And then maybe the last one before he comes
okay.
in. I think one of the big ones is corruption. What we are seeing in terms of leakages in procurement. Okay, so a lot of money is being siphoned from the state, and that is a fact. Okay, and because of that, we don't have resources to invest in infrastructure, so roads, schools, electricity, etc. We don't have that money. We don't even have money to pay our debt. Okay, and it's because there's a lot of corruption in the system. And that's something that we need to work at. If you look at South Africa currently, they are doing better now compared to the time of the previous president, because they are tackling corruption and the money that is taken from the state. If we are able to do that, that will create fiscal space for the government to invest in the economy and to grow the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, all that, you see, Professor have spoken about, we have identified all the challenges when it comes to doing business. Now it's time to find solutions to some of the challenges.
That is what he has enumerated.
Yes.
Or you think those solutions are only in the books?
It works on paper. It's like you've drawn a building plan, but when you go to the ground, it's different.
Okay.
There must be adjustment.
Okay, so tell us about the adjustments.
You know why people are not going into? He's saying we are import-dependent country. Exactly, and I said earlier on, cost of production, prof, is high, extremely high. Our tax rate, extremely high as it stands now. The tax rate is extremely high.
Yeah.
Yes, that which needs to be done. That's why people don't want to go into it. Your tax rate is high. Cumulatively, if you are even importing, cumulatively you are paying about 52%, 50%. So if you import goods worth $10,000, you are paying $5,000. How possible could it be? See, so our tax posture and our tax rate are high. And so with that, nobody wants to go into manufacturing. Nobody wants to go into manufacturing at that posture, that rate. Who is Father Christmas that want to go into and go? I have a friend who decided to go into manufacturing, and he started producing nails. You know the nails they used to do roofing. Yes, and he started very well. He employed about 120 Ghanaians, which was good. But someone along the line, he has to stop. He said, cost of production is high. He can't meet, it's not competitive. So he also resolved, because when they bring it from China, after paying all the duty, it isn't 3 times cheaper than that which is produced here. So if this product is produced in Ghana and it's 12 cedis, and the one that is imported is even 10 cedis, I'll prefer to buy it here and distribute as a distributor. Why would I worry myself, sit in the air for about 9 hours, go to Dubai, go to China, when I can get it even 12, when it's even 8 cedis, that of the imported one, and it's even 12 cedis here, I would prefer to buy it here. To save myself from all this sitting in 9 hours, my legs just walk about some few minutes in a plane and this thing. I prefer to buy it here. But just imagine you import it, after we have imported, pay all the duties and taxes, it's still cheaper than that which is produced here. So cost of doing business is high. So nobody wants to go into it. Our tax rate is high. Rebekah, the tax rate and there's some of the solutions, the corruption you spoke about, we have identified all, and we've proposed solutions to it. Why will you go and put a human being, when in this era of technology, you go and put a custom officer in a bonded warehouse, so that when the person is coming to clear the goods, the custom officer has a book and recorded this. Just put a camera there. Put a camera there, everything, and corruption goes on in the bonded warehouse. Because there's a human interference. So we've known all this. Go to the free zone board, the free zones. Huge corruption going on there. So let's apply technology for some of these things. Just how much will it cost you to? It's more expensive to put a human being there than to even put a camera there. That one that will install camera. Let's have a room where those guys, young guys who are technologically inclined, IT inclined, put it there. Let me monitoring. Whatever goods comes out, you know. Then we have stocked 20 bags of whatever rice is there in the bonded warehouse. Today they've gone for 10. It's calculated and deducted. Let's apply technology so that all these things, that corruption we're talking about, can cease. Not that we don't have the solution, but somebody somewhere along the line don't want to implement it. And one of the challenges we find ourselves, the vice president said something. He said, now we are moving from taxation to production. That's what he said. But now we find ourselves that taxes are rather going up, rather. And production is coming down.
Anyway, let me take some comments.
The last question we're going to ask him, the president, where is the key?
Vice president.
The vice president, where is the key?
What key are you referring to?
Once upon a time, a key was given to the IGP.
For what purpose?
To halt the dollar. And they locked it. So has the key been given out?
This is the Reporters Roundtable, and I have Rashid. Rashid says, hello, my dear panelists and Rebecca. Aside cocoa, gold, and recently crude oil, what does Ghana or the country produce that is solely reliable to the world? Nothing for that matter. So the cedi will remain as it is doing. We also have to focus on production and export so that we can also do something about our economy with our free fall of the cedi. Thank you, Rashid, for that message. This says, I'm Dylan David, watching from Volta region. We seem to gain freedom. We are not self-reliant. This is the main cause of our unstable value of our currency. There is more to be looked at when it comes to our currency, because as it stands on this ground now, things are not working, and that is coming from Dylan in the Volta region. So far I have had Rashid and Dylan from the Volta region. Let's speak more. What is Ghana's currency? Is it the cedi or the dollar? That is the question you're asking, Moses from Enchi. Let your experts answer me, because some of us are confused about what currency Ghana uses. As far as I am concerned, we came out of colonialism some years back, 60 years back. If Ghana were to be a human being, it would have been on pension by now. But yet we use the dollar. I ask again, what is Ghana's currency? Okay, Moses from Enchi.
It's cedi.
Mr. Paddy has answered. He says it's a cedi, but you know why he is asking, because okay. So our currency is the cedi. This one says, please, hello, my name is Courage. I'm very glad about this discussion, because myself as a Mason, things are going up every other day, and we've even had to have some clashes with our clients, because sometimes we take contracts on a job, and sometimes you run at a loss because you have already mentioned the amount and things keep going up, and when you want to adjust the fee you have already charged, it becomes problematic. So something should be done about it. Courage. Okay. Good job. This is coming from Seth Kwame. Says, good job, Rebecca and your team. A very prudent discussion around this time. For us as individuals, we are suffering. Oh, we are suffering. Because once it's on the businesses, it comes back to us. Today, you have 10 Ghana cedis. You can buy 3 things at a time. Tomorrow, you go, and that same 10 Ghana cedis is buying just 1 item. Please, please, our financial experts should be up and doing. Seth Kwame, we are grateful also for that one. Isaac says, you're looking beautiful today, Rebecca. Thank you. And I believe this beauty will be translated into managing our depreciation Cedi. Hey, how so, Isaac? Okay, but
But Isaac should ask if the beauty is in your pocket.
The beauty in the pockets.
Beauty
That's
in
a
the
documentary
pocket.
title, you know. Beauty in the pockets. Isaac, thank you. Wilhelmina Tete also says that, oh, unfortunately, I have people calling my line. Please do not call the line for, it's a WhatsApp line or a text line. Kindly send your text or your WhatsApp and don't call the line. Once you send your WhatsApp or your text, we'll be able to read it. Okay, let me take that from Wilhelmina Tete. Wilhelmina says, Rebecca, tell Mr. Paddy that more agitations should be nipped, or yeah, that's what you said. Oh, I guess you're saying they should halt the agitations and rather find a way of talking with the authorities that be, because he knows through dialogue much can be gotten than agitations. Okay, so Guta.
Yeah, we appreciate his concern.
Her concern. Wilhelmina sends that one. Wilhelmina, thank you that you should use the appropriate means and not agitations. Evans says, well, let me add that it is good you have the professor too also there giving us all the knowledge that we also need, because around this time our financial experts and economists in this country would also have to find shock resistance to all the factors that has been enumerated, because we don't seem to know where we are going. The Cedi is either chasing the dollar or
or the vice versa.
Or the vice. That's what he's written. As if you know, or the vice versa. Evans. Okay. Thank you. Let me come to you. I have more messages in here,
right.
But yes, let me come to you. Well, let me pick this one quickly, then I'll come back to you. Paying taxes is very good, but sorry, let me get it. Paying taxes is very good, but closing down of shops is not the way to go. It is bad, I must say. This one is sent by Jonah Pemga from Bikbira Tempani in the Upper East region. I hope I mentioned your town right and your name right. If I didn't, please forgive me. I'm trying. Jonah, he says we should be paying taxes, but closing down our shops is not the way to go. All the way from the Upper East region of Ghana. I am Yawa Jemai. Okay, before I pick that of Yawa Jemai, let me pick that of Kojo. Kojo says, I'm enjoying your show. Mr. Paddy is giving us solutions to the problems we are facing today. If our leaders are serious and not corrupt, they should listen to him. Bam. That is the hashtag you added, Kojo. Okay. Thank you so much, Kojo. Let me take this one and I'll come back to you. I am Ajimai. People keep calling the line and it keeps obstructing. I'll plead that I know you would want us to also read your comments.
They want to be part of the conversation.
Yes, and I love that you be a part of it, because without you, we have just an arc here. Our round table is not complete without you. But please, let's not call the line. Let's send our messages and our WhatsApp, and I'll be glad to read them. Paying taxes is a very good one. I think I've already taken that one. I'll come back to your message, Ajimai. Trust me that I'll read that one. But let's come to the studio. And Guta, you have warned of more agitations.
Exactly so.
And you have made it categorically. You've said it right here, even on this particular set, over high taxes, the free fall of our Cedi. Why so, considering the present economic crisis that our country finds itself in?
I think it's better than none, because I think that was one of the solutions that will cure the challenges the business community finds itself. But what's the point when you keep on selling, you're losing? So you better close down your shop and wait till they stabilize the economy, the Cedi. Like Professor said, they are checking up inflation by increasing reference rate. So when they are done, then we can come back to business. Seriously, you know, about a month ago, we wanted to go on a demonstration, on a strike, but we were called by Council of State. So we did respond to their call, and we formed a committee to look into some of these things. We prefer some of the short-term measures that can be taken that can cure some of these challenges we find ourselves, and that will limit the challenges the training community find itself. And then we have the short-term measures and the long-term, that the inflation area that we're looking at. But they came out to tell, oh, we shouldn't worry. There's 750 million something coming into the system. And we told them that they shouldn't even announce it. Because when you do that, there's a panic. But that 750 million, our boss alone, the oil companies can swallow it within 3 or 4 months. Yeah. You see, so the communication aspect was a little challenge from government aspect. Oh, don't worry, there's money in the system. But when you go, oh, we are bringing 750, then we're all businessmen. We'll do calculations, 750. What are you talking about? Let me rush and go and get some. So everybody rush and go and get it and keep it under. Is it safer to keep dollar under your bed than to keep cedis there? So the communication aspect was not too right. So we responded to the call of Council of State, and we had those discussions, and we resolved to have those short-term ones, which has not been solved yet. And then our members were like, our business keep on collapsing. And as at that time, we're having the meetings was 9.1. And we were telling that if we don't do something about it, it's going to rise to 12. And as if we were prophets. And now we found ourselves 12.2 to 12.6. So our members are saying that coming Wednesday, we are going to sit down and close down our shop. So if you have something to buy, go and buy them from Monday. Yes.
Yeah. So you're getting it right here on the Reporters Roundtable that Guta says its members are closing their shops over high taxes and the depreciation of our cedi on Wednesday. So if you have anything to buy them now. Okay, so I am Yao Ajimai from Kokobing. The two gentlemen have summarized everything on this platform, but the whole point is the people at the top are not willing to do the right thing. Everything, it's being politicized. Everyone in Ghana has to stand up to these leaders who are not affected by whatever is going on. It is time we do so. And Ajiman, as I promised, your message has been read. But let's look at how can small enterprises and startups find their feet in this era of daily upsurge? Okay, so
I'll respond to a few issues that he raised. Yeah. So I think that the taxes at the port, it shouldn't be indexed to the dollar. Okay, they should give them cedi prices. Other than that, it feeds into increasing prices in the economy. Also, I encourage Guta, again, Africa is there for them to explore. Okay, if cost of production is high in Ghana, what stops you from going to Nigeria? What stops you from going to maybe another country that maybe the Francophone zones, because they usually have lower interest rates, lower inflation, etc. They should explore. If we have Ghanaian firms going out there, investing in other countries, that will bring foreign exchange into their country.
Someone will say, I've not even dealt with that of my home, more or less getting outside.
But that's how we can grow the economy.
Okay.
If you look at the Nigerian businesses, they are coming here. Okay, their banks are coming here, etc. So to grow our economy, we should also have businesses that are able to, at least, let's start with Africa, and let's create global businesses. Why is the U.S. strong? The U.S. is very strong because it has huge international or multinational corporations like Facebook, Apple, Tesla, etc. That's how we can grow the economy. So let's encourage our businesses to also go out there, make money, and bring the money back into the economy. In relation to the government, I think that a lot of policy needs to be informed by, I'll answer your question, by research. And maybe that is what we are not doing a lot now. We implement policies that are not backed by rigorous academic research. I know he says it's theory, but theory is important to inform practice. Without good or solid theory, practice will not be very good. Also, maybe I'll be a bit radical. I've kept those thoughts to myself, but one, we need to look at the structure of the economy again. It is a colonial economy in the sense that, so there's a paper by an American economist, Darren Acemoglu, and he argues that countries like Ghana, where the Europeans came and couldn't stay because of high malaria and high death rates, the institutions they put in place are what we call colonial institutions. These institutions are not developed to facilitate development. they have been put in place to ship resources out of Africa. And that's what is happening, even with China now. China goes to other countries, puts in place infrastructure, and the purpose is to ship them to China. Okay, so we need to change those institutions. If you compare our institutions to countries like South Africa, Namibia, the southern African countries, they were a bit more developed because the Europeans realized that they could stay there. They didn't have a lot of malaria. They didn't have a lot of high death rates. So they developed them more. My final point is, because of the time, is that the government appointees, technically, we employ them. Okay, the citizens are the principals. If you look at governance theory, we elect them, we put them into office, we pay them. And therefore, if they are not doing things that benefit us, we need to find ways to send a message clearly to them. And one of the ways we could do that is to, so in corporate governance and corporate finance theory, we tie, for example, the compensation of the managers to their output. Why are we not doing that as a country? Okay. If the politicians don't deliver, maybe they shouldn't go home with their ex-gratia.
Okay.
And then things will change.
All right. This one says, my name is Charles. I'm watching you all the way from London. I live in also Franco Estates when I come to Ghana. I think the government must do something about our economy. I cleared my car last year. The duty was 17,000. The same car now is 28,000 Ghana cedis. Why, Nanado? Please do something. 2024 is just around the corner, and that one is coming from your name again. Let me get it. That one is coming from Charles from London. Charles, thank you. Hi, I am Jabon Benjamin from Northern Region, Bumpurubu. Please, we are not able to purchase things because of the increase of things. Prices are too high. Something should be done about it. Hello, I am Akata Simon from Libya. Ghana is suffering and the economy is suffering. Our leaders, please do something about it. My name is Owusu Ansa Sunyane. I'm from Sunyane. Is the vice president in Ghana, and the Cedi is depreciating like that, or what? He should come and tell us something, because I know our vice president is an expert in finances. Felicia Kaki says, because the system is hard, the market women are also taking advantage and pricing their goods anyhow. It should be. There's nothing like price regulation now. What is happening in Ghana? The system is hard. Something definitely needs to be done. Taxation without representation. What at all is happening in Ghana? You didn't add your name. Hello, Rebecca. I am enjoying the show. The cedi will continue to depreciate so long as we keep on importing from foreign countries. The sad thing is that some leaders in Ghana are hypocrites. They are the very people who are in the importation business. Even if cassava is imported into the country, the cedi is yet to perform worse. I am Sir B inside Jabin in the Ashanti region. Your messages keep coming. Unfortunately, my time is also up. So let me give the last note to you, Mr. Paddy, for your parting comments so that we can say
thank you
goodbye
very much.
to
And let me say thank you to our listeners and viewers again for listening to it this morning, coming to their homes. And then, like I said earlier on, if you have something to purchase now, do so before Wednesday, because Wednesday, businesses and traders have resolved to close down their shops. And like a prof said, one of the solutions we can find, identify, people are talking about manufacturing. We do too much importation. So that if government can come up with a policy, like he said, that anybody who wants to go into manufacturing, there is a fund there that you can give you at a rate of maybe 10 or 15%, so that you can be competitive. But you can't go and borrow from the commercial banks at the rate of 25, 30, 45 and be competitive. You know, even they are talking about the women that take advantage. You know, the women, they're also struggling and suffering. But then when they go to the microfinance to borrow, to go and buy even these tomatoes and things that they sell, they give it to them at the rate of 10% per month. 10%. Those women at the marketplace, they go and borrow at 10% from the microfinance, 10%. That is about 120% per annum. You know, what kind of business can they do? So, obviously, and you know, tomatoes too is perishable. So some will rot. So when they overprice it, it's not them. So when we are looking at the business dynamics, there are challenges in there. So you want to sell the good ones to get that money and pay off his debt before those rotten ones, you can give it out to whoever he wants to give it out. So these are some of the difficulties we find ourselves. So if government should sit down with GUTA and let's profess solutions to our manufacturing sector, what can we do? Because we are not interested in staying in only business selling, but we also want to go into manufacturing. But it's a starting point.
Okay.
Yeah, but then what? Because it's not attractive. That's why we are not rushing in there.
All right. A second.
Quick,
you want to a quick one, please? Yeah,
so yes, I think that the businesses focus too much on debt finance. Okay, equity they can access, patient capital. My last suggestion is that they can also look at accessing funding from the stock market. Okay, especially for small businesses, they can list on what we call the Ghana Alternative Exchange, and they can raise funding where they don't have to be paying regular high interest rates.
Right, they can raise funding from there. And Aroma from Sege Adan says, kind words are short and easy to speak. We need cameras in borders, on our borders and our harbors to be able to curb corruption, and I agree perfectly with your studio guests as they made mention of that. Hi, Madam. Good day to you all. Your panel, I am a guesting from Upper East Region, Bogatanga, and I'm enjoying your show. I think this country has been sold to the white man, so I don't think the Cedi can change anytime soon. That's your view, but something can be done. I think GUTA is creating fear and panic by issuing that caveat on your show. Please tell them to halt it and go to the deliberation table. Thank you so much. Your messages keep coming in, and I appreciate you so much for being a part of this program. Without you, there is no show. So we're grateful that you are able to tune in, that you are able to change your dials and also get onto our sets and get this important discussion around this time. We have been looking at the effects of the Cedi depreciation and high taxes on businesses. My name is Rebekah Awuah, and I've been in here with Mr. Joseph Paddy, who is the Director of Communications at the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA. He was in here with Professor Elikplim Kobla Agloyo, who is an Associate Professor at the Department of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, and also the Chairman of Research Committee at Tessa Capital, a financial management firm here in Ghana. Thank you so much for making the program exciting. We are grateful. So, God willing, we'll see you again same time next week. And Lord and Son has been at the background with the entire team bringing this production your way. We are grateful, Ghana. No, you're creating fear and panic. My people say you're creating fear and panic. You shouldn't do that. We don't want to try to